From the heart of Statesboro and straight down the Blue Mile, this is the Blue Mile Breakdown, your weekly dive into Georgia Southern football. Now here's your host, Brendan Sapp, Hail Southern and GATA.
Good Friday morning, everybody. I don't know what day you're listening to this on, but it is a Friday morning here in South Georgia. I said good just to say good. If you're a Georgia Southern Eagle fan, it is not a good Friday. It is not a good day. It is not a happy time. I can no longer sugarcoat the way I feel about the state of the program. I can't. I got more than one person to blame, I guess. I've got a player who needs to sit on the bench for a little while, and I got a coach that needs to grow a set and do something about it. But anyway, let's get into the stats. As you know, we lost to Southern Miss last night. And if you didn't watch the game and you woke up this morning and you looked, it was like, oh man, 38-35. That's pretty good. It was not good. It was embarrassing. It was 28-7 at halftime. We looked like offensively, we looked like a middle school team. Discipline-wise, we looked like a bunch of middle schoolers. The only shining light I can put in the first half is the defense tackled. They actually made tackles this week. They weren't backing up and throwing their hands out and pretending to make tackles. They were actually making some solid tackles. Braylon Braxton's a big dude, hard to bring down. Saw him get smacked around solidly. Open field solo tackles. So that's the bright takeaway from this game is it does look like they did what I was hoping they would do and went back to basics and worked on tackling. I don't know what else to say. Honestly, I do not know what to say. Two major factors killed us in the game last night. One of the big issues that I touched on a little bit there that cost us the game is discipline. You know, we had 12 penalties, most of which resulted in first downs for Southern Miss at the most inopportune moment. When we've held them 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, and we get a stupid penalty because we can't control ourselves after a play, and we do something unsportsmanlike. One was unfortunate for Devin Collier because I could see what he was trying to do, and even the announcers could see what he was trying. He was trying to punch the football loose, but he ended up making contact with the player, so they called a personal foul. And the position of that was terrible because they were at the 5-yard line, and they got to like the 2.5 for half the distance to the goal. And I mean, Braylon Braxton can reach into the end zone from the 2-yard line. The kid's huge. It was more unfortunate for Collier because he had just been called on a penalty on the previous play. So, you know, Collier's a good kid. He's a good defensive back, and I'm not gonna rag him too much for that because, you know, defense emotions high. You know, and like I said, the personal foul, you could clearly see he was trying to punch the ball loose and made contact with the player instead of the ball. But still, I'm not excusing it because those two penalties back to back cost us a touchdown and we ended up losing by 3. But I think more of the blame goes back to all the turnovers. The other issue I'd like to address is something I wanted to address since the beginning of last season because I have never bought the hype. I've never bought the hype. JC French, I'm sorry. I've never bought the hype. I just haven't. Oh, you look at his stats. Oh, my goodness, man. He threw for 313 yards and 3 interceptions. That, to me, speaks about how well our defense played in the second half. We gave up 10 in the second half and scored 28 in the second half. But it doesn't matter what you do on defense if the quarterback's going to keep giving the ball back to the other team. This isn't a bad game for French. This isn't we got to work on that. This is a lifestyle. This is week after week after week after week after week. And we got guys like Weston Bryan sitting on the sideline, Tim Tebow 2.0 over there. And why? Why? At that point in the game, when your quarterback's thrown 3 interceptions, why not try something? You're down 28-7. Try something. Pinch them, poke them, do something. But I said it several times, maybe not on here, but I've said it several times. You can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You know, that was one thing about legendary coach Art Russell. I had read somewhere where somebody was giving him grief about how thin his playbook was. And he said something to the effect of, I'll run the same play until they can stop it. If they can't stop it, I'll run one play for an entire game. I'll run it for the whole season. Because it worked. You know what happened when that play didn't work? He ran a different one. The quarterback's not working. He didn't work last year. He's not working this year. And yeah, I know I'm not trying to say I know more than the coaches by any stretch of the imagination, because they are with these players day in and day out. They're with them through spring, summer, fall. They know these boys a lot better than I do. But I do know that you can't do the same thing that's failing over and over and expect it to be successful. You know, if first you don't succeed, try again. Sure, in life. But when the quarterback's throwing 3 to 5 interceptions every week, I don't care how good your defense is. I don't care how good your special teams is. I don't care how talented your team is. If your quarterback is giving the ball to the other team consistently, you're going to lose. It's a miracle that the final score was a 3-point spread. I mean, an absolute miracle with 3 turnovers that the game was that close on paper. I'll say it again, on paper. If you watch the game, there was a glimmer of hope right there toward the end. But it wasn't good. It wasn't pretty. Camden Brown was awesome. 12 catches, 158 yards, and a touchdown. Marcus Sanders had a touchdown. French ran 2 in. Bedinga got us started with a powerful little run, assisted by lineman. But at the end of the day, you cannot turn the ball over 3 times and expect to be successful. You just can't. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. And there may be a lot of y'all out there listening to this or watching this that are like, oh, this guy thinks he knows everything. No, I certainly don't. I certainly don't. But as someone who grew up playing football, someone who has watched football his entire life, somebody who has watched this Georgia Southern program his entire life, this is not Georgia Southern football. Georgia Southern is a winning program. And we've got to get back to that. This decade of mediocrity, this decade of despair as a fan has got to come to an end. Whatever that means, it's got to come to an end. We're going to pause right now, take a short break to tell you about Gamer Advantage Eyewear, one of our show sponsors. Take it away.
Hi, Brendan Sapp here, better known in the streaming community as Brendan Sapp 157. I'm here today to talk to you about Gamer Advantage glasses. Before I discovered Gamer Advantage eyewear, gaming was taking a toll on my eyes. Long hours staring at a screen left me with constant eye fatigue, dry eyes, and restless nights. I was tired, frustrated, and frankly, losing my edge. But then I found Gamer Advantage. These glasses aren't just any gaming glasses, they're a game changer. With their state-of-the-art blue light technology, Gamer Advantage glasses filter out all the harmful blue light that's been keeping you up at night. No more eye strain, no more dry eyes, just clear vision and a great night's sleep. Now, I wake up refreshed, ready to take on any challenge, whether it's IRL or in the game. If you care about your eyes, whether you're a gamer, programmer, or anyone who spends time in front of a screen, I highly recommend Gamer Advantage eyewear. Protect your eyes, perform at your best. Gamer Advantage. See the game, save your eyes.
And I know a lot of you are probably going, well, just last week you said Helton's a good coach. I did say that. And I still stand by that. I think he is a good coach. I don't know that he's the right coach for Georgia Southern. I don't know. I don't know what we do at this point. I don't know what we do at this point. We've had 10 years of disappointment, 10 years of mediocrity. And I say mediocrity. I mean, we had a couple decent seasons in there. Clay Helton's gone right around 500 since he's been here. That's not it. That's not Georgia Southern. There's been a lot of lowlights in the last 10 years. The Summers era. The drinking beer on top of the school bus era. And now the 500 era. I don't know what we do. I don't know what we do at this point. Honestly don't. And if you're watching if you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice I'm wearing a skeleton shirt. Sure, it's October. It's almost Halloween. This is more of a reflection of how I feel inside as a Georgia Southern fan. I'm no longer hopeful. I'm no longer happy. I'm no longer optimistic that this team can turn it around. And it's too late for the Sun Belt this year. There's no way JMU is going to lose 2 conference games. I do not see that. We've already lost 2. So I feel like the East is done. And the best we can do is try to get to 6 wins at a bowl game. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. This is a talented team. This is a talented roster. I mean, look at the guys we've got here. Look at Arnold and Bedinga and Brown and Cobb and Josh Dallas when he's healthy. This offense is loaded with weapons. The defense, Brendan Harrington, Dorian Smith, Tracy Hill Jr. I mean, we've got talent on both sides of the ball. I'm not even lumping special teams into this because, again, they've done great. They have really done great. But I'm at a point now where I just can't keep pretending that, oh, we're going to be all right. We'll get them next week and everything's going to be good and we're gonna finish with a great record. I mean, I can't do that now. We already got 4 losses. The best we could hope for is 8-4. I don't even know that we beat Georgia State next week. Honestly. And I'm gonna be truthful with y'all and go a little behind the curtain, some inside baseball, if you will. The next segment of this podcast covers a Georgia State matchup next week, and I recorded it yesterday before the game last night, and it may be a little too optimistic. This might feel like a Jekyll and Hyde episode because I had hope that we were going to beat Southern Miss, and I had hope that we were going to beat Georgia State, and that hope that we're going to beat Georgia State is gone. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. I do not have that hope anymore. I have the hope. I hope we beat Georgia State. I hope we win the rest of our games. I don't know that I have the faith that we beat Georgia State. And if we don't beat Georgia State, we're not beating App State. We're not beating Old Dominion. We're not beating Coastal Carolina. I said it. Come at me. Come at me. Come for me. It is what it is. If you still blindly believe that this program is being led in the right direction, I don't know what else to say to you. As they say, the proof is in the pudding. And I'll touch back on our quarterback situation. Last season, he threw 11 interceptions. 11 interceptions in 13 games. Well, in 6 games, he's thrown 6. 3 last night. Now, you know, when I look at the performance from last night, if that had been the result after the USC game, I'd be like, hey, we lost to USC by 3, guys. This season's not over. But we didn't lose to USC. We lost to Southern Miss. And even though the final score looks good, we lost the game in the first half. We lost the game in the first half. And that's just the facts of the situation. And let me show you on paper versus real life. I'm going to read this, so I'm not going to be looking at the camera directly right here. And if you're listening, that doesn't matter to you anyway. If you look on paper at the results of this game, Southern Miss had 421 total yards. Georgia Southern had 395. Passing yards, Georgia Southern 313, 237 for Southern Miss. Rushing yards are ridiculous. We only got 82. We had 82 rushing yards. Georgia Southern had 82 rushing yards. At halftime, it was -1. -1 for Georgia Southern. Rushing yards. Southern Miss 184. So when you balance out rushing and passing yards, we got them as good on passing yards as they got us on rushing yards, roughly. Yards per play, Southern Miss 5.5, Georgia Southern 5. Not bad. First downs, Southern Miss 25, Georgia Southern 24. Third down efficiency, 6 for 15, Georgia Southern 7 for 15. Fourth down efficiency, Southern Miss didn't go for it on fourth because they didn't have to. We were 2 for 2. Total plays, Georgia Southern 77, Southern Miss 76. Punts, Southern Miss 6, Georgia Southern 5. And here's where I'll throw one more close one in. Time of possession, 30 minutes and 57 seconds for Southern Miss, 29 minutes and 3 seconds for Georgia Southern. Still pretty close. That's within 2 minutes. Here's where things take a turn. 8 penalties on Southern Miss for 68 yards, 12 penalties for 104 yards for Georgia Southern. 12 penalties, I'll say it again, for 104 yards for Georgia Southern. Fumbles lost. Georgia Southern didn't fumble the ball. Southern Miss lost a fumble. And here you go. Braylon Braxton, 0 interceptions. J.C. French, 3. Penalties and turnovers cost us a win. And that is unacceptable. You know, when I look at French, it's not just he made 3 bad reads. He made bad reads all night. He almost threw 7 or 8 interceptions in that game. Throwing behind receivers, throwing under receivers, throwing over receivers. It's time to move on. It's time to move on. Try something different against Georgia State. Let Weston Bryan start the game. Let Weston Bryan start the game. If by the end of the first quarter it's not working, go back to French. But I feel like he could be the spark this offense needs. I mean, you're talking about a kid in high school, and I know, high school's not college. But just listen to some of these numbers, all right? Career passing yards, 4,966. His senior year, last season, 2,407 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. That's for 14 games. 14 games. His junior year, 20 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. His sophomore year, he only played in 8 games. He threw 8 touchdowns and 1 interception. Now listen to this. So he threw for 2,407 yards, and he rushed for 1,528 and 34 touchdowns. Why is he watching a mediocre quarterback lose us games every week? Why? He's a big kid. And when he's been brought in for those few plays this year, it's been nothing but a bright spot for the offense. One thing I can guarantee you, a 4-star kid like Weston Bryan isn't going to be here long if he doesn't get some playing time. There are plenty of FBS schools that would have that kid starting this year. He's not going to sit on the bench and watch the team he committed to get blown out week after week. watch turnovers from the quarterback week after week when he knows he's better, he's not going to be here long. So I think if Helton doesn't start playing this kid this year, we're going to lose him in January. I believe that. Why would you stay? Why would you stick around? Let's not forget, French is only a junior. So we got to put up with that crap for another year if Helton doesn't make a decision. And I think the right decision is to hand the ball to Weston Bryan and go, it's your team, kid. What's it going to hurt at this point? You give him his playing time, you see what he can do, or you lose him in the portal. I really believe that. The kid is way too talented to sit there for 2 years behind. I don't even mediocrity doesn't even cover French. I'm moving on. I'm moving on because I'm not going to sit here and hate on 18 and 22-year-old kids. And I obviously didn't have what it takes to play college football because I didn't. But it's time for a change. I got nothing else on that. It's time for a change. At this point, the season's a wash. The best we can do is go to a bowl game, which would probably lose because that's what we've done under Helton for 3 years. So why not try something different? Why not give the ball to Weston Bryan? Why not say, all right, kid, it's your time. It's your time. Oh, by the way, one career fumble all time. Career rushing yards, 1,976. Career passing yards, right at 5,000. I mean, why not try it? Why not give it a try? I don't know. Again, I'm not a coach. I don't know what they see at practice that I don't see. I can't speak on their behalf, but I can speak on behalf of the fans and say we're damn sick of it. And it's time for a change. Weston Bryan might be what saves Clay Helton's career at Georgia Southern. He might be. Let's try it. Let's try it. Do we finish 2-10 or do we finish 8-4? Because right now that's the best we can do is 8-4. But 8-4 sounds a heck of a lot better than what we've had over the last few years. Because then even if you go and lose that bowl game, you still finish the season 8-5. That's a lot better than 6-7. Maybe that's the trend this year. Maybe that's the trend this year. We've been going to the last weeks of October as a 5 or 6 win program, already bowl eligible, and then losing every game the rest of the season. Maybe that's the trend this year. We're going to do it backwards. Maybe we're going to get on a run and get a bowl game and win it. But I know I speak for a lot of Eagle Nation when I say this because I talk to a lot of Eagle Nation. I'm friends with a lot of Eagle Nation. We are sick of losing. We are sick of being a laughingstock every time we are on a national televised game. We are sick of mediocrity. We're sick of it. And it's time for a change. Guys, real quick, we are going to pause and talk about G Fuel Energy and G Fuel Hydration. Here's the ad.
Fuel your grind, power your play, and stay locked in with G Fuel Energy. When the game gets intense, hydration is everything. That's why I choose G Fuel. Zero sugar, zero caffeine, packed with electrolytes, antioxidants, and vitamins. Whether I'm streaming, grinding rank, or just powering through my day, G Fuel keeps me focused and fueled. G Fuel, G Hydration, stay fueled, stay unstoppable. Go to gfuel.com and use my promo code BrendanSapp157 at checkout.
All right, so moving on from last night's game. Want to talk about the next contest coming up next Saturday on the 18th of October. That's when the Georgia State Panthers come to Statesboro, and they are not doing so hot. They'll take on App this Saturday, October 11th in Atlanta. App State coming off a huge win against Oregon State. I don't think anybody really saw coming. And Georgia State struggling, man. They are 1-4. They were blown out in Oxford 63-7 by Ole Miss. Lost the following week to Memphis at home 38-16. Their one win over the season, they skated by Murray State. That's right, FCS Murray State, 37-21. Blowout by Vanderbilt, 70-21. And then lost to James Madison, surprisingly, 14-7. So you don't know what to expect with this Georgia State team because, on one hand, they're doing horrible. And on the other hand, they're not doing that bad. I mean, you kind of expect them to lose to the two SEC schools. But then when you look at a 37-21 win over Murray State, I mean, I guess that's not terrible, but you would expect a bigger gap there because there is a big talent gap there between the two schools. But in James Madison, we saw what they did at Georgia Southern. They embarrassed us. I mean, absolutely embarrassed us. And then Georgia State holds them to 14 points and scores 7. So it's a 7-point loss to the Sunbelt East leading James Madison. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to expect. And I don't know that we'll know more after the App State game. I do know one advantage, though, is we got them at Paulson. So that's always good. For the Georgia Grown Bowl, our ground game looks better than theirs on paper. Georgia State absolutely struggling on the ground going into this game with App State. Their leading rusher only has 195 yards. As a team, through the first 5 games, they only have 475 rushing yards. O.J. Arnold almost has that by himself. So, it's not great. Their third down efficiency is worse than Georgia Southern's at only 36%. And they've only scored 88 points and 12 touchdowns so far this season, averaging 17.6 points per game. I think their bright spot is probably the passing. TJ Finley not having a bad year at quarterback. Not a great year either. 725 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Quarterback rating only a 43. Cameron Brown, however, 390 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and an 88 quarterback rating. So I think it'll kind of hinge on who plays against Southern as well as to what we can expect because both quarterbacks are active. So we'll know more, I guess, after the App State game on Saturday. Looking forward to it. I'm going to be watching that game just because ESPN is showing favorite towards App State at 55% win probability. App State, total mismatch on paper. Their leading rusher has 611 yards, and the entire team of Georgia State has less than 450 rushing yards. So, again, on paper, A.J. Swan, App State's quarterback, doing horrible as far as touchdown interception ratio, 6 apiece. He has thrown for 943 yards. He has a 34 quarterback rating, so not great. Not great in the with the arm there. But I think they're relying heavily on Rashad Dubinion in the backfield to carry that team right now. We'll have a better look at what to expect next Saturday on the 18th after the App State-Georgia State game on the 11th. But always, always, always looking forward to any chance to beat those kiddies from Atlanta. So let's roll into next weekend and get that win because somehow we've fallen back again to where they have more wins in the series than us. 6 wins for Georgia State and only 5 for Georgia Southern, which is almost embarrassing when you consider Georgia State's had a couple good seasons, just a couple, since starting the program in 2010. I don't know. it to me is still almost embarrassing that this has turned into an actual rivalry game, because I would have never thought that this was going to be more than a one-sided rivalry, especially after the first year when we hung 69 points on them at Paulson Stadium North, or Georgia Dome, as they called it then. I really, really thought that was just going to be by this point, honestly, I thought we'd be 11-0 against Georgia State, headed to 12-0. And, well, y'all all know what happened. And from 2015 to 2017, they went on a three-year winning streak. And then we've had a couple more bad games against them since then. So I don't know, man. Let's even the series up this year, though. That's what I want to see at Paulson. I'd love to see a blowout. Georgia Southern needs a blowout win, and to get it over Georgia State would just be icing on the cake for multiple reasons. But hopefully that's something we get to see on the 18th, and I hope you guys will be at Paulson, and I hope you guys will be ready to cheer it on. I unfortunately will not be able to make the game. My daughter's softball team at Robert Toombs will be in the state playoffs in Columbus, Georgia. So we'll be there the 16th through the 18th. They're going to head into the playoffs ranked number 3 in the state. So we'd love to see them bring another state championship home to Robert Toombs. Go Crusaders. Got to give it a little shout out there. So yeah, I'll be watching via mobile that day, but I'd much rather be watching my kids play sports than anything else anyway. So love my Eagles, but my kids are always going to have the edge over anybody else playing sports. So there you go. Hoping to get that win on the 18th against Georgia State. At this point, it's all we can do is hope, right? It's still a week out, and there's nothing we as the fans can do but make a lot of noise at Paulson and show them whose house it is. I hope you guys enjoyed this second episode of the Blue Mile Breakdown. I am Brendan Sapp, and until next time, Hail Southern and GATA.
This has been the Blue Mile Breakdown, brought to you in part by Gamer Advantage Eyewear and G Fuel Energy. Make sure to tune in next time as we dive deep into Georgia Southern football.
Wave the blue, wave the white, hold the banner high, and don't forget